Hi. Welcome to the Blue Temple of Sacred Geometry. I'd like to explain why I'm starting this. I'm really torn up about it. It's a very difficult time in my life, and it's hard for me to make this video. 3 weeks ago, something happened when I was in a Lori Ladd session, and I believe I need to start the Blue Temple of Sacred Geometry to let everyone know what I've been doing. I've been doing something on my own. And I've gotten all the way. And so what I want to do is teach sacred geometry to light workers. And, maybe anyone, but like to light workers who are interested in sacred geometry and what it is. So a little bit about sacred geometry. There's geometry and there's sacred. And for example, the Jews with their tree of life, they have really specific moral attachments to it. Like the sacred part of the geometry has to do with, there's also the tetractys of Pythagoras. And what they all claim is in the flower of life. And what they all claim is that to describe the nature of the process of creation of everything. So that there's a knowable science of the divine process of creation, of consciousness. And so the geometry part, it's not like we have Merkabas and spheres in our head, but that when we make progress in metaphysics, the way that we understand it is similar to the way we understand these things in geometry. And so how it is that progress in sacred geometry, and look, I've studied, everything I could find, especially Archimedes and Plato and Pythagoras and Euclid and Copernicus and Kepler and Tycho Brahe, and Kepler has amazing diagrams. I started doing this 5 years ago seriously in sacred geometry, but I've been studying geometry for 30 years. And I sort of fell into it, and I didn't believe that it would go anywhere, and I did it as a favor to my daughter because I wanted to increase my relationship with her, and she told me that studying the flower of life would help me be a better person. So anyways, long story short, I didn't believe it going into it, but I said, I know geometry, I'll check it out. Plus, I've always been interested in it. I just was taught to avoid it. And so when I looked into it, what I found was a cipher, a puzzle, clue by clue. And over the course of the last 5 years, I've followed it on my own, and I've gotten to the end. And what's at the end? Well, a book that changed my life is The Law of One. And so I've been proceeding what if the Law of One was correct? And Don specifically asks about Dewey Larson's physics. And so what if everything is vibration? And what if Dewey Larson's physics was correct? the reciprocal system of theory, or he wrote a book called Nothing But Motion. Then what would we have? Well, we'd have what in the law of one is described as energy, space-time manipulation for teleportation, healing, knowledge, increased knowledge, and anti-aging, and other stuff. So I really think that's what's at the end of sacred geometry. And so I've been hesitant to share this with anyone because I didn't want it used the wrong way. I'd rather cut my head off and burn my paperwork than make a weapon. What I'm all about is everyone and everything everywhere happy together at the same time. So here's what I just like over the Ides of March and Pi Day, like had this change, and I'm being called to teach this. I also have been practicing Kung Fu and the internal martial arts, and they go hand in hand with me, sacred geometry, because there needs to be a way to release negative trauma because it gets heightened when you study sacred geometry. Believe me, it's insane. The amount of pain it will cause you in your life if you just rush right at it, like I did. So there's a slow and easy, good, nice, happy way, and that's what I would like to teach. And so look, there are different paths into it. Like one could try to take a shortcut with some kind of a ritual to acquire knowledge they didn't have before. But the way that I took is the geometrical way, and it's really easy to follow, and I know all the steps. So that's what I teach is sacred geometry, and also a new kind of internal Kung Fu that's for releasing negative trauma. That is super wonderful. It was given to me by the stars, literally. And so my Patreon community, the Blue Temple of Sacred Geometry, will be about Kung Fu, and it will be about sacred geometry. So I just want to go over, what am I talking about with sacred geometry? Well, check this out. There's the flower of life,